Welcome back to Sail Hub. Today we're going to go through rigging, and in particular carbon rigging. We're going to find out if the composites that are coming into our world are actually a sensible option for cruisers like myself. Let's do this. So we all know that I love a bit of innovation and a bit of technology, and that's what Sail Hub's all about, right? But the truth of it is, I actually want to find out what the truth is for you guys so we can all make the right decisions for our own boats. So I've come out to Hungary. I'm at Pauger Composites. These guys are basically letting me blow up bits of carbon and do whatever I want to convince myself what the reality is with carbon rigging. And the question that I've got, what I've come to answer is it the material that's not ready? Or is it us that's not ready for the material? And the reason I say that is when I go back to training in boat building college and looking at the wooden boats that I learned to build back there, they certainly weren't made with stainless steel wire back in the day. So things move on, and I'm wondering if it's time for us to move on. So I'm going to find that out. So the long and short of it is, back in the day when we built these wonderful wooden boats, they were held together with a massive tree trunk, which was basically self-supporting most of the time, and the rig would then hold that up around it and give it additional strength. But of course, heavy masts are great, they're strong and all the rest of it, but they make the boat pitch and roll, and a lot of weight aloft isn't a good thing. We have to increase the ballast down below, and then it gets so heavy to move, we need a bigger sail area. And then we end up in this position where we have to make the mast taller. So it's like a rocket equation, isn't it? It's how it is. So in order to make masts and boats more performance oriented to allow us to sail in lighter areas and gain more strength, we started using aluminium. And eventually those aluminium sections got thinner and lighter. Now, an aluminium spar, when you look at it, it wobbles all over the place if it's unsupported, and it relies on a stiff cable, like this 1x19 stainless steel, which basically has a lot less stretch than anything that was used previously. So of course, this then became the standard, well, originally galvanized steel, and this became the standard. Absolutely fantastic. And it's so good because you can see the failure as well, because one little bit pings off and that kind of stuff. But the truth of it is that it doesn't like dynamic loading. We have to watch out for rust, and we have all sorts of issues that can go wrong with it, corrosion, seawater, all that kind of stuff. But it has allowed us to improve our boats so much. And you think, why would you need to change that? And then nitronic rod came along, that's this stuff here. And on the end of a nitronic rod, we've got a stem ball fitting like this or something like that, and that basically replaces this. Why would you want to do that? Well, any racer would tell you this basically offers you a little bit more strength. So sometimes you can go down a size, which means that you can reduce the windage, so reducing the heeling action of the boat, really important. And then from there you're also going to increase the strength because it's a solid wire, so the strength is increased as well. So the rig could now be built lighter. Sometimes you might even go down a section in aluminium, but not very often. But if you could take that to its extremes, you could certainly make a lighter mast. You could reduce windage. So that's when we start looking at carbon. And that's why I'm here. So I'm not going to beat around the bush, right? I'm building a boat, and I'm building a boat to go to high latitudes. I want to go and meet icebergs, hopefully in a friendly way, but that's where I want to go. Now, messing around in places like that, it's not something you want to mess around with your rig. So I am seriously looking at carbon, and one of the reasons is that as you go, say, north, in the happy time to sail there, there's not much wind. And our friend Ella Hibbard, who tried to circumnavigate the Arctic recently, she found that there was often no wind. And the trick to sailing places like that is being able to sail in light airs. Now, we're going to go into light airs, we're going to go into performance, and we're going to go into heavy airs as well. Because carbon actually, like the nitronic rod, can have advantages to allowing you to sail in those conditions, which we'll go into. But I think we need to cover one thing first. Like we see on Formula One, you just so much as touch carbon fiber and it explodes, right? It's just a shatter of carbon fiber everywhere. And if you have an accidental jibe, that's the end of your rig or something like that. We need to cover that straight away. And that's one of the reasons I came here, because I actually wanted to know that answer. So, without further ado, let's talk about strength. So I know that I shouldn't touch these bits. These are for a 54-foot racer cruiser, and they spec these titanium ends, which are ridiculously light, but you don't have to go titanium, but I'll go into why they have them in a second as well. But I do know, we're basically, what I'm doing here is we're in the test area where they've got a 100-ton pole machine here where they explode stuff, and that goes with a bang. Yeah, so I'll find some bits. Balance said he was going to leave some things around, so I presume, I hope this is one of them. So I'm just going to stand on it. I mean, I really thought that was going to break. Now the thing is, all that's done is taken the paint off the rack. It's crazy. Now if that was a piece of rod, that would be written off. It would be bent, no question. A big kink in it, and then that weakens it. So that's amazing. And then on the top of this, it's like a shoelace. It's got a braid over the top of it, okay? And this braid is for UV protection, and it's for abrasion as well. It's I don't know what it is, but it's super abrasive apparently. Certainly seems it. And the thing is, when it comes to maintenance of this stuff, and this is where it really starts to sort of sing, the material doesn't really need maintaining. It will last as long as a carbon boat or a carbon mast. There's nothing you can do to it. So basically it's a visual inspection every year, and you're just looking for damage. If this outer edge gets chafed, you just send it back and they resheath it for you. I think it's every 100,000 miles or something like that, they say send it back to Pauger, and they will have a look at it, they will inspect it, and they will tell you if it's good to go or not, and they can repair it as well. That's the thing. They can be reheaded if they're needed to, and I'm going to show you those just now. So basically what we've got is a super light thing, which is kind of feels indestructible and doesn't need any maintenance. And the thing is, right, what I've noticed when doing rigs for boats, if it's got nitronic rod, sometimes we can get crevice corrosion around the stainless steel up here. And it's that we need to take them apart. Now, they do suggest that every 5 years you take it apart and have a look, and maybe even if you want to, you could send it back to Pauger and get it looked at. Probably a wise idea. But like rod rigging, you can get crevice corrosion on stainless steel around here. And that's the thing. These are all completely galvanically isolated as well, so we don't have any galvanic issues between any of the systems, which is super important. And I know they've put a lot of effort into making sure that it remains that way. And they've done that by making everything themselves. And I didn't even know they did that. So when I came here, I was a bit amazed, to be honest. The guys are literally, you can hear it down below probably, they're literally machining these at the moment. Machined, anodized. Each one of these is turned, actually on an old Colchester lathe, down below. And everything is hammered on the machine for testing. This system here, like, because they don't want to put the carbon through a constant bend, if it's an excessive bend, you put this on basically, and then you're attached here and here. And that's the beauty of this. It's a discontinuous rigging system. Now most carbons, what they are is effectively like, I'll show you over here again with my piece of string. Most carbon rigs are made as a continuous loop. They're wound like a continuous loop like this. And then what you do is you join them together like that, and you put an eye in the end. And from that, it then goes into basically a huge oven, and it's cooked like you do with a mast or any of the carbon fiber parts or high quality carbon parts. And it comes out, which means that each one is made for the rig. It's individually cooked in the oven, and it becomes very, very expensive. And that's what these guys wanted to get away from. So you've now got a rig which is going to like at least last 3 times longer than a rod rig, if not 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times longer. which is pretty amazing. And it can be spec'd at whatever length you want. And because it's so flexible, unlike most carbon stuff, they store it in rods like this. So if you need one, they cut it off the rod, and all this is made in-house next door. Like, it's crazy the machinery they've got here. So yeah, you can get that made up and sent to you if you were to damage it, which is pretty cool. It'll come in the post in a coil, and you don't have to pay an arm and a leg because it's already been made in a massive roll. So you're just taking a cut off it, which I think is pretty innovative. That runs you down into the titanium fittings as well. Basically what we're trying to do with this titanium stuff, this is all made in-house. Come and see this, by the way. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to show you this, but I'm going to. They can only tell me off once, and I've already been here by then. What they've got in here is everything they get machined downstairs. So, I mean, they can do everything for like, I think they start at 26 footers, so you got little toy town stuff like this, which is mint. And they go all the way up to mega yachts. Like, they'll do anything. Like, a lot of their work is custom. This is all titanium. This is all made in-house titanium. It's super light, but of course it gets the strength. So, and you don't have the corrosion problem. So this worry that we have of stainless steel is disappearing, and the weight is crazy light. So what they tend to do with the titanium fittings is they have all the titanium fittings high up. I think they do standard on some things, from like their race boat fittings, and it's literally everything. Soft ones there for down it. They've got some cool things I want to show you here as well, because rather than using like split pins and things like that as well, they use nuts, and they have these cool washers. These are like, put them where you can see them in the light. And these are like a ratchet, so as they're tightened up, they can't go back on themselves. Now, anyone who knows anything about mountain bikes, that's exactly the same way that freewheel works on a DT Swiss hub. There where they are. So many drawers. There we go. And so basically, this is their titanium turnbuckle, and then they have this piece as well. And there's literally a fella down below making those all day, every day. It's crazy. By hand. Amazing. Put them in there. So I'm going to show you some of the other stuff that they make, and then show you what else they're doing to help cruisers reduce the cost of this, because basically they're trying to help cruisers get more out of their sailing as well, which is cool for people like me. So these are the tip cups. This is the stainless steel one, and this is the titanium one. Now you can see the size difference. It's probably twice the size, but it still weighs a lot less than this one. And the thing with Pauger is they're basically letting you choose whatever you want, wherever you want. It isn't just a single system. So, you know, they recommend that you put titanium turnbuckles at the top if you wanted to, and you could use these in titanium at the top. And as you work your way down, the pendulum moment of the boat, the mast on the boat is less. So, you know, they're saying to cruisers and the likes, you could just use them all the way if you wanted to. Or you could use BSI fittings, which are these big stainless ones. I'll grab them for you. So you got bottle screws like these BSI ones that they'll offer you as well. So you can do whatever you want, but this is what they like to use. I think that's cool. Again, this sort of stuff, this is what would hold the diagonals, or the D1, D2, D3, to stiffen the mast side to side. These are all turned down below. And the thing is, because everything's made in-house here, if you want a titanium one, you have a titanium one. If you want a different mast foot, have a different mast foot. It's kind of cool what they offer. Same with the mast as well, which is another thing that I've come to learn about, how to make my own carbon fiber mast, which is pretty cool. So we've learned that it's lighter, we've learned that it's stiffer, and we've learned that it's pretty much indestructible, or so it seems anyway. But the question is, what does that actually mean to a cruiser? Now, the thing is, because it doesn't stretch, means we don't have to maintain its tensions as much. In fact, in theory, we shouldn't have to. The other thing is that because it's so stiff, or so stretch resistant, it means when we tension the rig, it's probably going to start to tension the boat, and actually it will actually stiffen the boat up, which is something to bear in mind. That's really, really cool because it's going to stiffen your boat and allow the performance increase to be there. So less twists on the hull and less stresses on the hull because the dynamic loads have gone. Dynamic loads mean that the mast is under less stress and the mast fittings are under less stress. This is another good thing. What does it actually mean sailing though? It means you're going to be faster. Why are you going to be faster? Because when we take this, because it can stretch, and when we take this, because it can stretch, when the wind hits the sails fill up and energy is lost into the deflection of those materials. It's also lost into an aluminium mast, which of course you can put this on an aluminium mast. That's the beauty of it. But if you were to partner that with a carbon mast as well, or even just as it is, there's less deflection, which means the energy pushes the boat forward. So of course it will move better in light airs because it's lighter, but also because of the energy transfer. I think that's really, really cool. And so in heavy airs, what we're going to find is, as the boat is heeling over, we'll get less heel because the boat weighs less, of course. But with heavy airs, what's going to happen is the mast is not going to move as much. It's not going to change shape as much, which means that the mainsail throughout its length is going to hold a better shape. And I think that's really important. Also, like forestay tensions for going upwind, that's going to change because the whole dynamics of the rig have become stiffer, so the movement is less. So the sails can do their job, meaning we need to reef less, but also meaning we get less leeway as well. So all in all, that can mean a huge difference to overall speed and getting to your destination quicker, with less pitching and rolling and all that kind of stuff. And again, at anchor, less rolling, less pitching and all that kind of stuff. Is it real? Is it not real? I don't know. Is it true? It seems to work out. And if we look at the science, which is what I think we actually need to look at here, we can't go back and say, oh, you know, I've had 1x19 for ages, it's never been a problem, because hemp was never a problem. But technology is moving on, and these guys have been in this game for decades now. They build IMOCA race boats. These guys build some of the fastest boats in the world. They build some of the fastest masts in the world. They've been at carbon rigging for years now. No one seems to know about it, and it's kind of crazy. So I think it's a really interesting thing. Am I going to do it on my own boat? Am I going to take it to the Arctic? I don't know. I'm learning how to build a carbon mast. I'm learning whether I want to build that mast myself, or whether I want to go and get someone else to do it for me, whether I just go aluminium. That's why I'm here. But I do think whether I go aluminium or carbon in the mast, I'm going to give this a shot. Because to me, if I own the boat for 15 years, maybe 20 years, it's going to basically cost me the same amount of money, but the performance is going to be considerably higher. So I don't see a reason why not to. So do follow along. My boat builds on Ghost Ship. You'll see us putting this on Ghost Ship. I came to find out about it. Seems like a good idea, so I'm going to go for it. And yeah, you can see how it goes for me and see what you think yourself. But it'll be interesting to know what you think in the comments. And also, if there's anything else that you want me to go and find out about, turn up in factories and ask questions and, you know, go and break things, then we can have a look at that. So do join us on Sail Hub. Do like, subscribe, and if you want to see me build my boat, that's on The Ghost Ship, again on YouTube. So like and subscribe there as well. And we'll see you next time when I find out a bit more about carbon from these guys.